It has been nearly 20 years since the idea for the establishment of a single currency for ECOWAS was proposed.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is pushing for a single currency, aiming to simplify trade, unify economies, and take control of Africa's energy sector. But why now? And what does it have to do with one of Africa's most influential billionaires, Aliko Dangote? ECOWAS has long envisioned a single currency for West Africa. This dream, however, is more than just about money. It's about economic sovereignty and a united Africa. Right now, over 15 countries in the ECOWAS bloc use various currencies, from the Nigerian Naira to the Ghanaian Cedi and even the CFA Franc, which has historical ties to France.
I'm happy to welcome you all to Accra for the 5th meeting of the Presidential Task Force on the ECOWAS single currency. Following our last meeting in Niamey, capital of the Republic of Niger, on 24th October 2017. I take this opportunity to reiterate again our gratitude to President Muhammadu Issoufou for his warm hospitality during our visit. Ghanaians, as you know, also pride themselves on their very much on their sense of hospitality, and we hope you will all enjoy your all too brief stay with us. Akwaba is our word of welcome. Our gathering here, Excellencies, within the short space of some 4 months is sufficient testament to the importance we attach not only to the establishment of a monetary union, but also to the larger agenda of West African integration. The Ministerial and Technical Committee, which have been meeting for the past few days, are to be commended for carrying out to the letter the decisions taken by the Presidential Task Force at the Niamey meeting. It has been nearly 20 years since the idea for the establishment of a single currency for ECOWAS was proposed. We've had challenges along the way towards the attainment of the convergence criteria required for the single currency to come into effect. We've also chalked some significant successes to this end. Nonetheless, we remain determined to have a single currency which will help remove trade and monetary barriers, reduce transaction costs, boost economic activity, and raise the living standards of our people. It is a goal we must achieve. In this regard, I urge ECOWAS member states to renew their commitment to the ratification and implementation of the relevant ECOWAS protocols, such as the Protocol on the Free Movement of Persons, Goods and Services, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, ETLS, and the Common External Tariff, CET. Trade, however, cannot thrive in an environment of insecurity. Our efforts must also be directed towards maintaining regional peace and security, democracy and good governance, as well as strengthening the ties of cooperation that exist amongst us. We must all in this regard commend the systematic efforts being made by the countries of the G5 du Sahel and by the Buhari government in Nigeria to degrade and diminish the capabilities of the jihadists and Boko Haram, terrorist groups who are threatening the security and peace of our region. These efforts must receive the unconditional backing of all the states of ECOWAS, as the fight they are waging is a fight for all of us. Excellencies, the structure of economies bequeathed to us by the colonialists was aimed at servicing our colonial masters, essentially raw material producing and exporting economies. The structural transformation of our economies can no longer be postponed if we are to meet the aspirations of our young people for jobs. The era of Africa's industrialization has dawned so that we can also trade in the world economy, not on the basis of exports of raw materials, but on the basis of things we make. Our quest for a single currency is not intended to boost trading of goods produced in third-party countries. It is meant to encourage the production of goods and services within the region. It is thus incumbent on us to strengthen the productive base of our economies and to improve agricultural productivity and industrial production. With a population of some 350 million people, which is expected to increase to 500 million in the next 20 years, and with a total of some 600 million United States dollars as GDP, there is a viable market ready to absorb the goods which will be produced by our industries. Your Excellencies, it was agreed at the Niamey meeting that the target date for the introduction of the ECOWAS single currency remains 2020, some 2 years away. The task force also requested that the roadmap for the ECOWAS single currency be reviewed to ensure that the processes for the creation of the single currency are accelerated. I'm informed that under the auspices of the Ministerial Committee, this assignment has been successfully carried out. I urge Your Excellencies to examine the conclusions and recommendations of the Ministerial meeting and emphasize the need to put in place measures to implement the revised roadmap to achieve the objective of starting the single currency program in 2020. It is for this reason that I entreat Your Excellencies of the Task Force and the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government to give presidential assent to the implementation of the revised roadmap that will be adopted at our meeting. We need to ensure that the ECOWAS Commission is provided with the needed resources through the setup of the special fund for financing the activities of the revised roadmap. I call also on governments of our member states to take all measures to ensure that the macroeconomic convergence criteria, a prerequisite for the introduction of the single currency, is consistently met. This will invariably require marrying the convergence targets with our national macroeconomic targets. It is my hope that as we shape the future of ECOWAS, we are positioning West African enterprises to compete effectively in the global space. There are many amongst us who cannot accept that it is only Asians who can engineer their transition from poverty to prosperity in a generation. We should be determined to emulate that in our generation in West Africa and ensure that succeeding generations will be neither victims nor pawns of the world order. We have a historic opportunity to create a new reality for the peoples of ECOWAS, a reality of general prosperity and progress. Let us seize this opportunity. I thank you all for your attention, and may God bless us all and the peoples of ECOWAS, and may God bless Mother Africa and make her great and strong.
Imagine the power of a unified currency. No more fluctuating exchange rates, no more foreign dominance over local money, and most importantly, freedom to set policies that put Africa first. But it's no easy feat, and there are big questions about how and when. This push for a single currency couldn't come at a better time. In 2023, Aliko Dangote's refinery in Nigeria finally went operational, capable of producing 650,000 barrels of fuel daily. This single plant could supply most of West Africa. And ECOWAS leaders see an opportunity here, not just for fuel independence, but for economic integration. With Dangote's refinery, West Africa no longer has to rely on global oil giants and can instead create a more self-sufficient fuel supply chain. But to make this truly work for all 15 nations, ECOWAS leaders believe a single currency could be the key to unlocking smooth and accessible trade for Dangote fuel and more. One of the most vocal proponents of this movement is Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo. He's a believer in Africa for Africans and sees this currency unification as a chance to curb Western influence in Africa's economic affairs. President Akufo-Addo has even proposed that, with a united currency, Ghana and other West African nations could establish fair fuel prices directly with Dangote, avoiding the price swings caused by currency volatility. He's on a mission to ensure Ghana can buy fuel at a stable rate without having to juggle foreign exchange fluctuations, and his vision aligns perfectly with ECOWAS's drive for a single currency. Now let's weigh the pros and cons. The benefits are clear. Imagine no more currency exchange fees, no more heavy fluctuations, and unified purchasing power for every nation involved. Ghana could buy fuel from Dangote at the same rate as Nigeria or Côte d'Ivoire. However, implementing a single currency also comes with risks. Some countries may feel they are giving up control of their financial policies, and there are fears that stronger economies like Nigeria might dominate the currency's value, leaving smaller countries to bear the consequences. So what do the people think? It's a mixed bag. In Ghana, some feel hopeful about stable fuel prices, but others worry this could mean giving up control to a centralized currency that might not address their specific economic needs. And economic experts are split, too. Many see the potential for growth and stability, but they warn that without a strong central policy, inflation or other risks could hurt weaker economies. So how will ECOWAS make this happen? They've outlined a roadmap, aiming for a phased approach over several years, with plans to start with a digital currency to ease the transition. This digital currency phase will help countries gradually adapt, and if it succeeds, a full physical currency could follow. ECOWAS leaders are also working on setting up a Central African bank to manage and regulate this currency. Of course, this plan doesn't come without external challenges. Countries like the US, France, and other Western powers may feel threatened by an independent African currency. Many African nations still trade heavily with the West, and a unified currency could shift the balance of power, possibly decreasing reliance on Western currencies like the US dollar. Western influence over Africa's economy has deep roots, and this move could disrupt decades of financial relationships. So we can expect both subtle and not-so-subtle resistance. So, could a single ECOWAS currency make Africa more self-sufficient and even help nations like Ghana secure fuel at a stable rate? There's no doubt that this move has revolutionary potential. If successful, Africa could start trading on its own terms, with its own currency. Thanks for joining us today. This push for an African currency marks a historic moment that could reshape Africa's role in the global economy. What do you think? Will ECOWAS pull it off, or will outside influences hold Africa back? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the most important stories shaping Africa's future.